Three, two, one, live. All right. So, hello, everybody. It's Alexander Williamson
Hello,
here
everyone.
with the Secret History of Living in Your Aquarium. And to this side of me, this fella here is. Go ahead and introduce yourself, plug your channel, all that.
My name is Josh from Aqua, and I'm from Australia, the other side of the world, sort of.
Pretty
And
much,
I didn't realize we sort of share the same sun, different days. But I was saying to Alex, I was like, "Oh, can we catch up at this time because it should be morning here?" And then yesterday, I just kind of clicked and went, "We are 19 hours in front of you, so we have it was 9 o'clock in the afternoon. It was 4 o'clock here. I was like, oh, hang on. I've got the timing all wrong."
Well, I mean, a little bit of time travel live on YouTube should be good for ratings. So, I think
know, it can break routers, though.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. If we have any problems, blame it on the new internet. So that's what's up right now with my world is new internet setup at the house and all that jazz. So yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking for a video that I wanted to share with you all, but I'm just struggling to find it. I'm going to put that away for the moment. I know another way I can get it later if we need it.
Okay. Well, no problem. And the other thing I was going to say is if I get choppy on you or anything, just let me know, because on my end, it always stays like crystal clear, and everyone else is like, where did Alex go? So.
Yeah, 100%. And let us know in the chat, because sometimes I see it all smooth, but it stops.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So hello, everyone in the chat for that matter. What's going on, Rigel? One of the gatekeepers at large. Nicholas, Third Coast, Muppet, Thomas, Daniel, Keeping Fish, Shelby Ray, Pete. I saw Pete. Pete's he's down there with you. Down in he's in Perth, right?
He's on the other side of the country though, but yeah, we share the same island.
Jen Yu. Whoops, I'm selecting random comments accidentally. Let's see here. There's a random comment that's nice and kind. We'll put that up. And Mary Page, what's going on? Average Fish Keeper, what's going on? All right, we got lots of people rolling in now. Now that they're probably like, what is going on? Why is Alex going live, now, if they didn't hear that I was going to be. So, yeah, all right. Well, thank you so much, Curtis St. Martin. We got $1.49 super sticker. Appreciate it so much. Thank you very much. Very kind of you. So let's start off. Tell us about yourself, sir. Tell us about yourself and your channel.
Well, there's a lot of people in here that are very familiar. So hey, everybody, as well. Yeah, just a copycat. I copy you. I just document my fish keeping experience and getting really heavily into aquascaping lately, and it's actually kind of funny. The channel's taken a bit of a turn, sort of like naturally, organically. It's turned into something a bit different. Lately, I've been visiting a lot of people and seeing what they're doing in their fish rooms. We've got a guy that I'm pretty close with now who runs a local fish store. He's in. Have you heard of the Aquatic Gardeners Association?
Oh yeah. I'm involved with them. Yeah.
Oh, see, so Boaz, he's done a massive scape that's been entered into that. And while I was talking to him about that, we met up with Alvin, and Alvin's got a Wabi Kusa that's come in the top 10. And it's in
Yeah,
it's like in a Scotch glass. It's not actually a Scotch glass, but that's the best way to imagine what it looks like. And I've got already teed up some really unique tours in the next couple of weeks. So it'll take me a while to edit. I've been spending a lot of time on the editing software. But yeah, it's really good. It's seeing what other people are doing while also trying to tell my own story and try and become my own aquascape person.
Right on. Yeah. So you guys are out of lockdown then, right? You guys in your area can move about the cabin?
Yeah, so really weirdly, and it's hard to sort of imagine what it's like everywhere in the world. Melbourne was very weird because everything happened, March last year, and we all went into a lockdown, and I can't remember how long for. It was a few weeks. And then we all came out of lockdown, but Melbourne just blew out of control all of a sudden. So we were getting like, I can't remember how many cases. I think 700 and something a day or something like that. And we went bang into lockdown. And then we were in lockdown for like, we'll just do it for 2-3 weeks. And I think it was maybe 4 months. And then, everyone started going a bit stir crazy. And then we got down to 0. And just recently we had I had a 5-day lockdown. So the sort of way that they're doing it now is there are no cases pretty much every day. And then if we find a case, they kind of see if that grows into a couple more cases. And if it gets to sort of double figures overall, then each city, like Perth did this a little while ago, they just lock down for 5 days until they see 0 cases. And then they think they've contained it. And then we go back. And Adelaide, which is really, I don't know why Adelaide is the first one, but we've only just first started using a vaccine. So I think you guys have been using one for a little while, haven't you?
Yeah, we've had since the end of December, some people have been getting it at least. I mean, not like anyone can go get it, but doctors, and they're kind of rolling it out slowly but surely, I guess. So, yeah.
So hopefully we're going to get on top of this, but I think it's going to be around for a long time, and hopefully we just get to a point where it's not so scary and dangerous.
I feel like we're going to have to deal with it throughout till the end of 2021 at least, to like on an everyday level. But after that, I feel like people are just going to be sick of it, even if there is some sort of threat or whatnot. I think there'll be certain steps you can take, but I mean, people 2 years basically will be people will probably just be like, you know what, let's just get on with the show kind of thing, I think. So, but
actually, I don't think I've asked anyone properly, but I've read and listened to lots of podcasts and stuff. If you're in America and you're in lockdown and you can't go to work, what do you do? How do you make money? Right.
And that's a big point of contention. More so, it's not like there's anybody like locking you down ever in any of this so far, like where you go out and they're going to be like, what are you doing? It's more just like you can't have your restaurants open. So if you own a restaurant, then you, in a lot of cases, like you haven't been able to open in certain places. Like our state's one of the stricter ones in Seattle and Washington. And I mean, Texas opened everything again the other day. And yet our state, like we've got it so that you can only about 2 weeks ago, did they open up restaurants to 20% capacity, basically 25% capacity. So it's different everywhere. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that are hurting, whether it's, they own or they work at a business that can't open. And then other people have just been able to like work from home and just like, and then yet again, other people are on unemployment. So the people that are stuck in the middle, I feel bad for all of them, like in between things, or people who have several part-time jobs that are different, So to all the viewers out there that are in, some kind of thing like that, I feel you. That's partially why I've been kind of going hard on the channel since it started, is it's a lot of people at home watching, a lot of people with weird schedules and all that. So, and mine is the same, also odd. So yeah, looks like we got another super sticker. Where did it go? From Fishymone, $64.49. Thank you so much. That's a cool little profile pic there. I like that with that pleco on it.
Yeah, it is very cool.
Yeah. So,
what I was gonna say is, like, over here, everyone was guaranteed at least $750 a week. So stop working, stay home, and the government will give you $750 a week, which kept a lot of people being able to move. And I think that's why our lockdown was so successful. And I think we're the only country that's had 700 cases in a day and then now are able to have 0.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because everyone band together, like people were crazy. Don't get me wrong. Toilet paper, I still fathoms what the hell that's about. But yeah, because a lot of people could go, right, well, I'm not going to go broke and I can pay my mortgage and all that sort of stuff. And it was actually sort of successful. But then, yeah, I see these things in America. I'm like, no wonder that people like going crazy about it, because you just shut them down and then they're like, well, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my business. I'm going to lose my house. I'm not staying home, which makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
that was one thing as well. Like I remember when we had our 5-day lockdown, it was like three weeks ago, I think it was. And so on the Thursday, I think they said, actually on the Friday around lunchtime, they're like, as of 11:59 tonight, we are now in lockdown for 5 days. Only 4 reasons to leave the house: exercise, get food, to give care or receive care. And I remember talking to someone and they had a booking at a restaurant the next day. And because it was 11, so it was like the Friday, they've gone out, bought all this food for having 200 people booked in on the Saturday and 150 booked in. And they had to turf the food. So it's like even the little things you don't think about and go, oh, well, it's only 5 days and won't be a big problem, can mean a lot to a business. So
yeah, for sure.
I like getting your perspective on a lot of these things.
But I mean, so that's allowing you though then to go to aquascapers' houses or something though still? Like, I mean, are you traveling mostly in your area then? Is that what I take it as? Or
no, we're out of lockdown, so it's all pretty much, it's all very normal, except I think we have to wear a mask when we're in shopping centers.
Okay.
That's the mind-blowing thing too. At first, it's like wearing a mask, that's weird. Why is that guy wearing a mask? And now it's like, why isn't that guy wearing a mask?
Right,
Everyone gets
yeah,
up another, but like I'll go to the petrol station here. You don't need to wear a mask, and go in, buy my Red Bull or whatever, and walk out. And then I'll go driving for work, and then I'll go, oh, I need petrol, and I'll pull into a petrol station, and everyone's wearing a mask, and I'm like, should I put a mask on? I don't know what to do. So I think a lot of people are safe anyway.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, has that made your channel? Has that changed the dynamic of your channel at all? You think, like the whole everything happening, or
kind of what I first thought would happen, and as you said, you've like been able to put a bit more time onto it, and everyone's schedules have been different, so you sort of use that. I wanted to try and do more. I know some people that they were home and they just did more. Nothing really stopped me. Actually, things actually got harder, to be honest, because my work is, I still go to people's houses in the middle of the big lockdown. I still quote for all the heating and cooling and stuff, because, you know, if people are sick and it's cold, they need to be warm. If people are sick and it's hot, they need to be cool. So we were sort of excused. So I was out on the road still working, but then also had this deal of having to homeschool a 7-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
This is not working. Like, he had all this stuff he had to do and I had to do work. And here's me first thinking, I'm going to put so much time in Aqua, mate. And then I was like, I don't have any time.
Oh, man, that's a lot to deal
changing
with.
The dynamic, not so much. I think that because the pet stores were still open and stuff, was still able to go and get things. Probably did try and focus, because you couldn't go out and do anything. I focused more, I think, on the aquascaping. I've turned a massive tank in the lounge room into an aquascape. I was going to ask your advice in a second. I've got a big dry start over here, and I've redone this tank, and so I've changed a few things around, and really happy with sort of evolving all the tanks rather than just collecting more tanks. I think I've run out of room. But yeah, I was going to ask you, the large tank, I've got an aquascape in there. So I'm trying my first like real big. I think there's a couple videos if you guys want to check it out on the channel. One of me choosing the hardscape and then one planting it out. Now I'm waiting for it to turn into something, you know, a bit more mature. And then I will do another video on it and probably do a lot of updates and go through all these issues that I'm having. Like right now, I'll show you what it looks like. And you'll go, what the hell's going on? This is it right now. Well, that's you, but it looks pretty, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. It looks like a table.
I've had blue-green algae, so I've friggin'
blackout
covered it up. I'm probably 60 hours in now, and I'm doing it for 72 hours. So I'll leave it for tonight, and tomorrow morning I'm gonna pull it off. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's done the job. If that happens, I'll make a quick video on it as well, because I know that's something that helps a lot of people. And yeah, try and get everything going again. I've got to refill the CO2. But yeah, I'm learning a lot about trying to improve my plant keeping skills from a lot of people.
Right on.
How do you treat blue-green algae?
You know, with that one, I usually try to do a blackout first, and most of my blue-green algae tends to be the anoxic kind that doesn't need hardly any oxygen. So it happens below the surface, like in the sand on the front of the glass. Yeah. And as soon as I expose it to oxygen, it dies. That's usually what I have. But when I get the other kind, I'll usually do a blackout for like 3 days, like a total blackout, something like that, yep. 3 or 4 days. And then, you know, I'll usually hit it with erythromycin or something if that doesn't work, some sort of antibacterial, and see if that helps. Sometimes I'll do, if it's just a couple spots so far, like I'll take hydrogen peroxide in a syringe and just kind of spot treat. But usually it's kind of a little bit of a combo of all of that. But when I start seeing it, I kind of will pivot and do some water changes and kind of disrupt that area usually, you know, like the one spot where I'm seeing it. And usually I can kind of stave it off, but you know, sometimes it just gets crazy. Like I've got a tank right now that you know, I just moved a bunch of tanks, and today it's just been raining and wind and just like really, really crazy weather. So I just it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to I'm not gonna be able to do much about moving the last few tanks until the weather gets better. But let me turn this around real quick.
Have we lost audio?
Oh, can you hear me?
Now I can.
Can you see me still too?
No, I can see the tanks.
Oh, okay. All right. I can't see anything. My screen is completely frozen. But in any case, this tank. So this tank is just had crazy algae happening. I took out almost all the plants. But then all the other ones, like most of them are good. Most of them actually just have, if anything, a little bit cloudy water because so much bacteria grew to try to compensate for the spike in ammonia that happened, you know, from moving them and agitating the substrate, that now it's dying off now that it's been a couple days. And so they're clearing back up. But yeah, so they're kind of, doing their own thing. But that's what's going on there. Let's see here.
You're stuck, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm stuck. Hold on one sec. Carry the show if I get stuck in StreamYard land. One sec.
Not a problem. I was going to ask Alex how the move went. I think it's one thing I dread moving tanks I don't know about you guys, but I sort of start thinking about if I was to move this fish room, would I just shut everything down and start fresh at the new location? We got your back.
I think so. I think so. Let me try to get the camera back too.
I was just saying to everyone that because I was going to ask you how the move went and like how hard it is to move all the tanks, and sort of that I would be tempted if I had to move my stuff to just shut everything down, move, and then just start again. Almost like, obviously you want to keep the fish, but maybe you redo your scapes, maybe you change your tanks, maybe you put certain plants with other plants that you haven't tried before. Did you sort of just pick up the tanks, move them, and put them back down and left them as they are?
Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try this just for a sec. I think what happened is my wife is looking at something on the internet and it kicked down my quality. So I'm gonna try to keep the bandwidth down for just a sec by chatting, and then hopefully I can come back with the video in a moment. But hopefully it can run you all right and everything. In the comments, let us know if for some reason you can't see Aquamate or our audio goes out or anything funky. Sorry guys, I just set up the internet 2 days ago, and so we're kind of learning the throttle of the bandwidth with people on it versus not and all that stuff. But she got an email she had to deal with. So but in any case, yeah, so what I did was I moved, and I filmed it all, and I'm going to edit it later, but I moved, and I only had to move about 20 minutes drive. And so it was just long enough that you still kind of have to pack everything up, obviously. But I was able to kind of put things in little fish, for the most part, stayed in their tanks, and shrimp. And then anything like really sensitive, any rainbow fish or plecos or angelfish or anything like that, they went in the cab of the truck with me in bags, and then the other stuff just literally rode in the back. But I also live in a city full of hills, so everything sloshed around pretty rough. And I mean, for the most part, my aquascapes got thrashed. I pretty much do need to redo them all, and I mean, with the exception of my favorite aquascape, I was able to save it by just taking it one at a time. The other ones, basically, I needed people to help me carry things, and some of the tanks were like almost 200 pounds with water and glass, and like the 50-gallon rimless. So it ended up being like needing 4 adult guys to lift it, and there was no concern whether it was going to slosh or there was no like, hey guys, be careful because the rock formation might slide out or anything. They wouldn't have cared, and nor should they have. I mean, they're worried about their backs and dropping the tank and all that. So we removed the rocks for most of it, but I recorded video of it, so I'll edit it eventually and get it kind of pieced together, because we still have a couple tanks to do, and so I figured I'd edit just like maybe a 15 or 20 minute thing of all of it. But yeah, it's been a challenge, but and I kind of do just want to redo everything, because now even the old tanks, like once you've had a tank for a year or two, you kind of I don't know, not overlook it, but you kind of just take it for a little bit of granted, I think, and then you kind of are into whatever tank you're into or whatever fish you're into. And I think that now it's kind of like, once I get settled, I just wanted them all life support wise to work. But the thing is, life support in my tanks is really based on plants and substrate and bacteria. So I was just at least trying to get that to function, and it actually has. I've kind of just been waiting for which tank, which one's gonna like uncycle and I'm gonna get an ammonia spike, or that's kind of what I've been worried about for this first few days to a week where it's all here. But yeah, so I'm talking too much about myself. I would like to know about Australia and about FishTube over there. I mean, I know there's a handful of you guys that I watch, and I mean, is it a tight knit culture? Is it a new phenomena that you guys are arising? Like, what's the scene like as far as, I guess, personalities slash, fish club members or aquascaping or whatever facet you want to talk about? But what's kind of the scene look like there?
Sort of a little. Now it's starting to get a bit of momentum. I think there's a few people that have been, created YouTube channels in the last sort of couple of years. Very early days, I did a whole series on different YouTubers that live in Australia and their channels. So there's a couple that are growing and getting really big, and they're being pretty successful. They're up in Queensland and Sydney, but then there's a whole bunch sort of growing down here. So, I mean, Blake's Aquatics is growing super quick. Really impressive.
Yeah.
He's been. So he'll probably be the next sort of one that will pop up and end up having, like 20 or 30, 40,000 people following him. And then it's really good because, there's also, there's Sam Parker for all the people that like their saltwater. He was sort of in the same spot as Blake about a year ago, and he's gone on, I think he's around the 20,000 subscribers. So there's no one like, there's no King of DIY, there's no Aquarium Co-op, there's no George Farmer or anything like that, really. But I think in a couple of years that there might actually be. And probably the big one was really, really good. Like, we had the Underwater Pet Expo last year, like a couple days before we went into lockdown with the virus.
Wow.
And I met people there that I've done collaborations with since. I've speak to some of them who own different stores who want me to do videos with them. People have sent me products, and then sitting down with a whole bunch of the other guys and seeing how they go about making videos and just catching up and just chilling out was really, really good. And I see that might be that marker, that gauge every year when we go to the Underwater Pet Expo. We'll catch up.
Cool.
And we'll start seeing new faces, and people will start to go, I watched a video about detritus worms. That was you, yeah? And be like, yeah. I know a little bit about worms, which is weird because it's a fish channel, but I only mentioned that one because that one I get messages almost daily from people saying, thank you. I didn't know what that was in my tank, and I was going to shut it down. I even had one lady say she did shut it down. She watched the video and she'd given up on the hobby, and then she said, it was actually all right. I'm going to set it back up again. So that was probably one of the nicest things to do something like that and someone watch it and say, hang on, I'm getting back into
yeah, no, that's great. I mean, yeah, that's awesome. Now you got to show them saltwater bristle worms and they'll never set up a tank again.
No, I don't want one of those. Keeping fish simple is in Australia. Yeah, so that's Nick. I've spoken to Nick a few times. I've actually spoke to him the other day. Not so much a collaboration, but he's started up a business selling fish and plants and a few bits and pieces. So I put an order in with him last week. So I might be doing a bit of an unboxing on what he's selling in the next week or two, which would be really good because that's one other thing that I really, really like. I'm coming.
You've got kind of an ultimate man cave going on there.
I know this is where I get kicked out, so I have to make it fun.
Yeah.
I used to collect video games, and yeah, I just
makes sense now.
I can watch sport and stuff out here. So one really, really rewarding thing. So Nick doing that and keeping fish simple. If you're in Australia, look him up. I think it's just keepingfishsimple.com. He's selling a whole bunch of stuff that he's breeding himself. We've got another company that reached out to us. This is just sort of a startup company, Scuffed Fish Tank. Have microfiber cloths for cleaning the outside of your tanks, and they're looking into new products. I met Beck at the Underwater Pet Expo, and I've done a video with her, and she's got her own shrimp food now. So I really love seeing the people in the community that we were talking about putting themselves out there and going, all right, I'm not going to make videos, but I'm going to do, sell some products. I'm going to breed fish. Or I'm going to do an Instagram or whatever. It's really, really cool to see that. And I can't wait, and I'm excited, and I hope to see them grow and do more and more and end up in fish stores near you.
Yeah. I mean, so what's the population of Australia now?
25 million, I think.
Okay. So, I mean, it's a market a lot smaller than the US, but in a lot of ways that's like big enough that could support any business easily, in several fold, but small enough that you kind of can still get to know the industry as a whole. Like if you're involved in one, I mean, they probably all know each other if it's an Australian thing, right? Do you have any brands that are Australian in the hobby at all yet, kind of? Or is it mostly, like here we have, obviously we have American stuff, but we we borrow a lot from France, Germany, the Netherlands, Dennerley, Fluval, that kind of stuff. So.
These guys are from near me, the Australian blackworms. So They've got all these really cool products. I'm actually working on a video for them as we speak, pretty much. I did do a video for them. Some of you might have seen it and then gone, where did that video go? They pretty much specialize in live blackworms.
That's cool.
And then they dry them up and they send them. You would be using their product if you've ever used freeze-dried blackworms, because they sell them over to America and they rebrand them. So
okay. Yeah.
Have used them, but they're actually made in my backyard, like 3 hours away, but down here.
Sure.
So that's one that's gone worldwide with it. I can't think of any specific. I think a lot of them, a lot of the Australian industry is guys importing things from other countries, and they might look after a couple brands.
Sure.
And then they're packaged up as their own company, but they're really selling something else. I think we should be getting Extreme Foods down here real soon, which is going to be awesome because a lot of people love that down here, but it's very hard to get. So I've been trying to do everything I can and help out with that side of things as well for Extreme. I think they know that because the owner messaged me a while ago, which was really weird and random and cool. But yeah, it's the thing, like to see a brand like that to go worldwide is amazing. So having these guys come out and do their own things as well, like I'm really hoping that they can go worldwide. It is a sustainable enough economy, I suppose, in Australia to just sell here. This stuff you can't, they can't make it quick enough, and they're not going to try and make it any quicker. So it is actually a bit tricky. You go into stores, they'll usually just have 1 or 2 bags. Like that's, for me to have all of that stuff is probably like a store.
You're
like, can I have that? Sell that. But yeah, what I was going to say, sorry, I was doing the video about the live worms, and I don't usually feed a lot of live blackworms. And I did a video on feeding them, but they were like, actually, you should do it this way. Can you delete the video and let's do it again? So they've sort of told me how to do it. I'm making the video now as we speak, and then hopefully that's representation for them to say, well, that's it. That's what you meant to do. That's what we're trying to promote. So that side of things is really cool.
Right on. I mean, I've always let the blackworms just kind of go and like get into my substrate, and then the fish eat them as they pop up at night, basically. But you can also get like parasites and things in our country, because I think it's just because we get so, I mean, yes, the US has limits on what can come in and out, but for instance, locally we had Marimo moss balls at our big chain pet stores that were infested with like, they're illegal to have, but zebra mussels. And so they had a freshwater, basically like it destroys ecosystems in the pet stores in the mothballs like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And some of them had like a dozen baby zebra mussels growing on them. And so there's things like that where they've had to shut down like the main blackworm production in our country a few times and things like that. So it seems to happen, but Australia seems to really keep a lockdown on species as far as that goes.
Yeah, well, I know. I was actually funny because I was with someone a little while ago and they had some mothballs, and I was like, oh, they're fantastic. They would look really, really good in a shrimp tank sort of setup. And he's like, they're illegal. You're not allowed to have them. I'm like, what? And like, there's a few other things that I've had to use with my tanks and stuff that, yeah, you can buy them off eBay, but you can't go to the shop and buy them. So by illegal, I don't mean you get arrested or fined for it. It's that you can't sell them over here. So yeah, some weird stuff like that. I know, I don't know if Pam's here, if you are, hey Pam, but Punchy, her favorite fish are honey blue eyes, and they're from Queensland. And I managed to get my hands on a couple, and I can actually go and buy some right now. They're $45 for a pair, so tiny little fish, but they're endangered over here. So some people, you can sell them here, but you cannot sell them. I can't send you honey blue eyes. I can't send them anywhere else in the world. So there's that sort of thing going on a bit as well. I'm trying to think. There was.
Can you see this? Can you see when I'm coming back on now?
Yep.
All right. I'll try. Switch this around again.
I think people get sick of just looking at my forehead.
Well, I feel like it's rude, like not being equal and both being on there. It's just my inner. I think it froze me again. Can you see me though?
No. Yeah, I can see.
Okay, well,
more like that.
It's so weird. It just says 404 error on my screen. That's all I can see right now. So hold on. I'll be back. I'll do what I did again. So I'm probably go down for a second. I'll be right back.
No worries. There was an article. Let me look it up quickly, because there was a fish, another blue eye, a Pseudomogal. Let me see. It's not on here. That recently was in the news.
There we go. I can see again. I've been reborn.
I'm just trying to look up this email that I got. Search MW. The smallest freshwater fish was on the Australia's smallest freshwater fish, was on the brink of extinction until now. Read the full story. Yeah, the red-finned blue eye. So,
is it a killifish of some sort, or?
It's a Pseudomogal.
Oh.
I say that with confidence, and now I'm looking going, I think. But they were found in Queensland. There was like 11, I think it was 11 sort of locations they could find this fish. And the tiny little blue eye with a red fin, funny enough. And the gambusia or gambusa. Yeah. So the correct pronunciation. The mosquito fish that have been introduced are just wiping these fish out because they just outcompete them for food. They stop breeding. Yeah. So what they did was they sort of they basically made like a trap, so they stop anything from getting into one of these colonies of these red-fin blue eyes. And yeah, now they sort of got down to maybe 100 or 200 fish that they know of in the wild. And now they go back and there's like 500, 600, 700. They're breeding, they're happy, and they're protected in that spot. So they're pretty awesome to see the guys up there doing that. I did message to the gentleman, Graham. I can't remember his name now.
What region's that in? Queensland, you said?
Yeah, Queensland. So north north of
Okay.
Australia, or the northern states of Australia. Graham Finson was involved in that, and I looked him up, hunted him down, and messaged him and asked him if I could have a chat with him to sort of bring that sort of story to the channel. He spoke to me, but you know, he's probably very busy, so that could potentially happen. It may not, but that is definitely something I try and do as well. I try and get out there and speak to these people that aren't just about YouTube. So the stories that you learn when you sort of open up away from just YouTubers and Instagrammers and all that sort of stuff is it's really funny to see how people are doing things differently and what you can learn from it. And I mean, Alvin was a perfect example. The video that came out last week, really, really proud of the video. His tanks are awesome. He's just a friend of a friend he does have an Instagram account as well, but he presents really, really well for videos. His tanks, he's meticulous with his routines. So I learned a lot from that. He said, I'd listened to a lot of the George Farmer podcast. So if anyone out there is like thinking, I want to get into aquascaping and you want to sort of you do a lot of driving, chuck the George Farmer podcast on, because he goes through every step in every episode for about half an hour, him and his wife, Emma. And I started changing my whole routine as of last week, listening to George Farmer and seeing Alvin's tanks. I've gone a little bit different with everything, and I'm starting to already see some results and going, that's how they do it, and that's how it looks so good, and that's how how to fix like the blue-green algae. That was the George Farmer. Black it out for 72 hours.
And, right on.
And yeah, it's just inspiring meeting all these different people.
Yeah, for sure. No, I really enjoy that. And by the way, thank you, Curtis, again for the super chat sticker. Appreciate it. But yeah, no, that's really, you know, that's why I value channels like yours where you bring on a bunch of different people from all over the world. And I mean, you get to know, like, you can go to their channel if you want to know the details on something in particular, but you kind of get to know the person a little bit. Like, I know you and I we just kind of chatted and kind of became friends, you know what I mean? Like live. So that was fun when you had me on your channel. But I mean, I encourage people to go check his channel out, if not for his stuff, obviously, but for also if there's other creators you like that he's interviewed. It's kind of a unique environment. It's kind of like a lounge, you know, where you just, it's like going to the pub and having a beer and chatting, you know. It's kind of interesting to see and hear some of the I guess just what makes people tick that are in the hobby, and then random facts and trivia and, you know, projects and odd connections all pop up in between everything.
I don't have beer on it anymore because I think I had too many beers while I had Daniel keeping fish. And we ended up going for like almost 3 hours. And at the end, I was like, whoa, I should have ended that maybe an hour ago. But it's called the Activate Experience because I listened to a lot of the Joe Rogan Experience, and I just thought, hey, I'm not creative enough to come up with a name. I'll just use someone else's name. But then the whole cool thing with that was, I think the first episode I had Sam Parker, so I had an Aussie. Then I had Jesse from Hawaii, had Swisky, Jimmy was kind enough to join. Keeping Fish Simple from Queensland, Dan from Scotland, like, and then yourself, to see that it was going all over the world, talking to different people, and everyone has a different story to tell. And so there's 26 episodes of that, and I fully intend to try and get that to like 100 episodes, but I'm not pumping them out every week just because it sort of naturally comes up and goes, here's an opportunity. There's a couple people that I've put the feelers out to, and some are interested, but timing's just really tricky at the moment. I really enjoy that too. I usually do it at a similar time to now, but that's the other thing that I haven't said anything about, but I've noticed it's really tricky lately to have scheduled streams because there's so much going on. Like the fish fan's growing, which is awesome, but there's a few toes that you're like, oh, hang on. All right. And I've sort of hit a point where I'm like, I'm just going to go because I can go now. I can't, otherwise you'll never go.
Yeah, I've kind of hit that point too. I mean, for a while, I didn't know the fish family, I mean, other than who was on my channel. Like, I hate to say it, but like for years I kind of focused on, like, if they chatted with me through my channel, then I knew them. And before that, I mean, I knew people from me chatting, but it was enough to just try to manage my stuff. And then for a while I was kind of like, yeah, I can kind of branch out. And so, for instance, I want to thank Father Fish for the super chat, but you know, hanging out, yeah. So, but hanging out in the mornings with him for a long time, you know, he does a daily show, basically. He's down in Florida, which is like the opposite side of the country. But just getting to know the crowd every day that hangs out there, you know, and there's kind of these little pockets of fish tube within fish tube. And yeah, like you said, there's so many channels that it ends up being tricky to figure out when to go too, because and it used to be that, you know, Friday nights or Saturday nights were kind of the prime time, and I don't think that's the case anymore. I think that honestly it's kind of diffused into like I mean, with everyone just has crazy schedules now, you know, and it's not like everyone goes out to the bars and the movies and everything on the weekends anymore. So a lot of people are home, but I mean, a lot of people are home every night that you could go. And so, you know, it's interesting. But what's nice about it is that, you know, like if you want like Father Fish stuff, that's more in the mornings for, you know, the US, or if you want to watch something later, you know, there's Australians or there's people in the UK going, you know. So I appreciate that bit of how it is. Like the UK usually tends to be midday for the US when they tend to stream, like Mark's Aquatic or, you know, something like that. Or Oliver Knott, someone in Europe, you know, something like that. But yeah, yeah.
I know Father Fish. I always miss Father because I'm asleep when he streams, and that's one of the tricky things being in
So
Australia.
It's like 5 a.m. for me.
So yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think. I don't want to say what time it is here because people will know that I sleep in too much. I think with Australia, like all of a sudden, so for me right now, it's 11, it's almost midday. And I know that it's sort of like 5
It's probably like
you.
midnight for you or 1 a.m. when he goes there.
Something like that, yeah.
Maybe 1 a.m.
Yeah. But anyway, like trying to find a time that will work for an Aussie audience and to be able to talk with all you wonderful people, it gets really tricky to find time. So then it comes down to weekends, and then I work Saturdays, except not every Saturday. So then Sunday was the day, but then Sunday everyone's streaming now, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, I don't know, because I used to stream every 2 weeks, every week on, week off, with Dr. Black, Blake, Thirsty Rabbit, like all the Aussies, and it was sort of like we grabbed that spot and we were like, cool, it's something different for everyone because it's 3 Aussies, generally zero, no script, nothing, not usually even a topic, just what are the 3 of us doing, and then just sometimes it would be get quiet and I'd be the one trying to talk in, keep things moving. Sometimes I couldn't get a word, so it was really just a catch up and a hangout, which is what the Fish fam's really good at, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of struggling with that that dynamic right now, in that, you know, the channel's growing and it's getting to a size where just hanging out, some people are angered by, you know what I mean, versus like very manicured content. But then also some of the people who want to just hang out are like, hey, I don't need a high production value. I just want to talk fish, you know, or I just want to, you know, chat like we're friends. And so it's kind of, it's, you know, it's striking a balance, I think, is hopefully, you know, is like, I try to kind of format it usually with like one laid back chat, one chat that's kind of like either stuff going on in the fish world or updates on my tanks or news in the fish hobby or whatever. And then I try to do a video that's either shorter and more like bullet points, and then do one that's very dense and about history. So I try to kind of do 4 things a week. Like one mainstream, one super nerdy, one super social, one kind of introverted, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
the other one is like a lot of people do like very fishy stuff, and I mean, it's good, but then how much, if you watch 3 streams in a day and it's all really fishy, I tend to sort of check out maybe after 2 hours or something. I'm a bit like,
sure,
all right, enough of that, the fish thing. Like I just want to say hey to someone or whatever, you know?
yeah. Or let's talk about aquascapes or shrimp or, you know, whatever it may be too. Even within that, I mean, like you're saying, there sometimes the same thing comes up over and over. For a while, it was feeding brine shrimp. You know, like everyone in the world was talking about brine shrimp, and then you know, it just things come and go like that. Kind of, it seems like so. But
you're 100%. But it, again, as you were just saying, like now you also hit a point where it's like, all right, people got to want to know what to expect to be wanting to come along to watch it because they're like, yes, this is where Alex talks about this stuff. That's why I watch him. You know?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, YouTube is quick to throw down the hammer algorithm-wise when you miss your slot or when you know miss. If you've been doing 3 videos every week and you do 2, it's quick to you know not give you the impressions that you were getting. You know, like they like consistency on that algorithm. I was reading an article that they don't even know what the algorithm does, like how it learns or anything right now. It's all AI that teaches itself, and so it's literally like they give it a command like I want more minutes watched or whatever, and so it will do whatever creates that, you know. But sometimes that will mean that every like short video just gets terrible impression rates or whatever, and other times, you know, it can totally crush live streams or, you know, whatever. So it's always trying to like game that a little bit, but also staying true to yourself. It's kind of a puzzle for creators, obviously. So,
well, that's the thing that I think when I was first like doing YouTube, I'd be like, upload video. Why isn't anyone watching it? What's going on? And now I've learned it's a real slow burn. And like if you've hit the right sort of spot, it'll work. Like, I've been lucky enough to have a couple videos that just kept growing. And it's funny, one of them was doing really, really well, and now all of a sudden it's just stopped. But then another one is now growing really, really well. But I can see the difference. One was just about a certain fish, and one was about whether detritus worms are good or bad. People are going to ask, are detritus worms good or bad forever? So they're probably going to just continue going that path until someone makes another video. Don't make another video. Yeah. That maybe knocks it out of its perch. But with the fish one, it's like, yeah, those fish aren't searched for as much at the moment. Pygmy cories aren't as popular. So now it's not, the algorithm probably goes, push that one down because it's not getting the impressions that it used to have maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like Celestial Pearl Danios, that's one that like I always get referrals from that video to my other videos, you know. But yeah, you know, you make a video that someone goes to for knowledge or for reference, how-to videos, and kind of go from there. I mean, that's kind of the best advice for I think how people should grow a channel is like do whatever you're an expert at or what you're good at, and then hopefully they'll come and find the other things that other folks were already thought to be the expert at if you're making good content about it. Somebody just asked if my fish Sergio is doing okay. I'm not going to flip around the camera, but he is on his side still, basically. He's tilted, but he's eating fine. He seems happy. He's flirting with the ladyfish again. They look at him like he's crazy. He's my big angelfish that's like 5 years old. But when we moved him, he's been tilted ever since. And I think what happened, I'm not positive, but when I picked him up out of the tank, he was in a net, and he was like the size of the entire fish net because it wasn't a huge one or anything. it's like a 8-inch net. And so he flopped around like crazy. And as I was lifting him up, part of him hit the side of the tank. And I think he might have just messed up his swim bladder or knocked himself stupider. He's already kind of a dumb fish in his behavior, but he's the ladies' man fish in my tank that had 3 females that he breeds with at the same time. Like he'll have up to, I've seen him with 3 different egg clutches in the same tank, and all the ladies are in different corners of this bow front, and he's just gets to go wherever he wants, but they just come out charging at each other like that. I don't know if you remember that kids board game, Hungry Hungry Hippos, but like where you go for the stuff in the middle. But it's like that. Like if the females leave their corner, they just start going for each other. Yet Sergio is allowed to go wherever he wants because he's the king of the roost. But yeah. So once he spawns again, I'll feel better.
That will be a good sign. Someone here, Jackson Tax, Aquamate, is there an issue with waterproof sunscreen killing the microfoods for the wild fish fry? I know
that's a great question.
Yes. I don't know, but I do like. I've been up to the Great Barrier Reef a couple of times, and you're not allowed to wear sunscreen. So I would say definitely it's something that probably would come into effect. I'm just trying to think. There's not many places that I can think of because where I live in Victoria, I'm at the bottom of Australia. So the water here in nature is really cold. So there's very limited species of fish here. But when you go up north, it's warm. There's so many fantastic, rainbow fish, pseudomogals, other fish up there that I don't know the places where people would swim and those fish would be in that same river. Whereas here, it's just, there's not very many. You just see mosquito fish all the time. There are rainbow fish down here, but I don't know them well enough. And that's another thing. Like I sort of last year said, I've got to learn more about aquascaping. This year, I've got to learn more about plants. Rainbow fish fascinate me, and I've never had them. But I think that might change in the next week or two. And that's another thing that I want to learn more about rainbow fish as well.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be rad if you took a trip up to one of the rivers, Goiter River or Running River, Murray. I mean, Murray's probably really far, but there's some cool rivers with a lot of species named after them.
Yes. Well, the
hey, Cass, by the way, good to see you, Cassie.
I am going to Cairns in 6 weeks. Fingers crossed that no outbreaks. And my plan is I've just bought a GoPro like literally yesterday, so I've got to wait for it to arrive. But
cool.
My plan is to go swimming with turtles out at Fitzroy Island and definitely making a video about that. But I'll probably end up trying to go up to the reef. I'm going to be up there for a little bit, and what I'm hoping I can do is actually do the behind the scenes tour at the Cairns Aquarium. See as long as they let me take a camera in, I think that would be awesome content to share with everybody, and to see. I love Coralfish 12G, and I know he's been up to Cairns about a year ago, but the video is not that old. And he went behind the scenes on some of these things, and I'm like, I just need to try harder to find more places to do these sorts of things, rather than just go to the aquarium and be like, I'll film, which is good, but I'm like, how can I learn and how can I get, informational content on top of these beautiful pictures as well?
Hey, Dragon Lair also just commented, my local Petco had Gara rufa today. Yeah, that's interesting. I've seen them being sold as doctor fish, which, I mean, that's a fine name, I suppose. But they've had them at our local Petco. They've been having some interesting fish. The other thing that they've been doing for anybody who lives near a Petco and feels hopeless about the selection, they're getting things like, Neocaridina shrimp and stuff like that. They're not the best quality and they're a little pricey, some of them. But the other thing they've been doing is it just says like Australian rainbow fish. and that's what it has as the name, or it'll say like Australian fish, and then it'll say rainbow fish where it should be the Latin name. And
Yes.
I'm like, wow, that's incredibly vague. And you know, most people looking don't know. They're not like into the hobby really heavily or anything. But you look in there and there's everything from Bosemani to turquoise to, you know, like Kamaka. I mean, there's like about 5 or 6 that they're selling now. But the other day I saw a Chilanthrini Alani, I guess, is that how you say it? But I mean, just kind of an unusual, very beautiful rainbow fish, and it was under the like cheap $8.99. And if I had had my tanks set up, I would have like literally. I mean, I would have bought it in a second. But I mean, the farm must have just sent them something wrong. So I mean, keep an eye out. What's going on, Jesse? What's up, HC Aqua? Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, Jesse.
He's spanning the distance between us. He's like between you and I right now.
I wonder what time. He's like an hour or two behind me, but a day behind at the same time. I can't remember. Very similar.
Yeah.
It's cool that they're doing that. I think shrimp. I can't believe how much shrimp are getting bigger and bigger in the hobby. I have some. I'm gonna do a video on this. It just brings me back to something I was going to ask you about. But I've got some crystal reds in there, and they've had babies, and the babies are just as colorful as the parents. But
they're pretty adorable.
A millimeter or 2 millimeter. I'm like, that is the cutest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, hang on, I'm talking about shrimp. Why am I like in love with these little creatures? I don't know what the go is, but so many people keep shrimp now, and they're almost like I'm starting to go, well, every tank needs shrimp as long as there's something. No fish in there that will eat them. I've got neons and ember tetras in here with Darwin algae eaters. And I'm like, why did I only just add the algae eaters? Like I should have 100 of them by now. I shouldn't have been wondering whether I should get their shrimp or not. So yes, I've got the shrimp bug. What I was going to ask, the video I'm going to do on that one, which hopefully will be a good lesson for people as well. I had planaria in there. And I got rid of the planaria. I've got some really disturbing footage of a shrimp with planaria inside it, and you can see it moving around. And then I saw your video, the planaria killing the fry. That's crazy.
I hadn't seen that before. I mean, I've heard people mention it, but I'd never seen them like hunted down and eaten like that before. Like I moved those fry into that tank, and it was nighttime, and I hadn't fed that tank in a long time because it has shrimp and panda loaches, which both eat algae and don't really need fish food. But like the planaria that does live in there must be kind of starving for, I'll put spirulina wafers in once in a while, or some bug bite cichlid formula the loaches will eat a little bit of. But then the leftovers is what the planaria is eating. And I kind of encourage planaria in that tank because the loaches like the baby planaria. They eat them, like they go through the substrate, kind of nuzzling it to knock them around and get them up. But as soon as they become adults, they don't care. They stop looking at them, and then the adults, I learned that they have a stomach on their stomach, basically, like just a slot right in the center of them, and they wrap around things and they just like start digesting it, basically. And if you don't have
the anaconda, I was like, that's exactly what it's like.
Yeah, and like, I mean, it was, I don't know. I'm looking at that same tank right as we speak right now. But yeah, I mean, up close when I was that zoomed in, just watching intently, and I was trying to do the, what do you call it? I guess Discovery Channel motto of like, just let nature do its thing kind of thing. After it started, I was like really tempted to pull him out, but then I was like, I kind of want to see where this goes because I can't really grow those babies up right now, like mid-move. So I kind of just let it happen as a lesson, I guess, once I saw that that's what was going to go down. But it was kind of heartbreaking and kind of interesting at the same time. But I don't think it's normal behavior for one, for them. I think it's like when they're real hungry that they go after like a baby fish or baby shrimp. But
it's just like
I've seen them eat shrimp before too.
Yes, well, that's the thing. So big thing that I know is that you can have trouble having baby shrimp when you've got an area because they love to snack on baby shrimp, and I think the eggs as well. But that was why I was like, I've got to get rid of this because I really want these crystal reds to breed. I had 2 crystal reds once before and they died pretty quickly, so I had something that was way off. That tank, I set that up for maybe 3 months before I was confident enough to put them in there. And then I put them in there and I've lost 2. I think something else was wrong, but then to see the planaria going at them, I was like, what? This is really bizarre. I fixed the planaria problem and now I've got babies. So it's like a full cycle of everything. Just quickly, Frugal Aquatics, Aquamate, there is a little native shrimp like a Mano shrimp at the Yarra near Warburton. I have 5. That is awesome, and I don't live that far from Warburton, so I'm going to go and check that out for sure. What do you mean near Warburton? Like there's a town called Warburton, and it's just like a main street, and behind the main street is the Yarra River. The Yarra River goes through where I live, but it eventually runs out into Melbourne, but it travels for like, I don't know how long the Yarra is, maybe 100 kilometers or something. But so out here in the country and then all the way through into the city and out to the ocean, which is pretty awesome.
Well, that's another interesting thing that I wanted to kind of look into about Australia, which is, your country, your continent it's so remote in, geographically speaking.
Yeah, we're out on our own.
And there's all the fish that are there that are fresh water had to come from the ocean, kind of. I mean, obviously it was connected to the mainland, kind of, but I doubt there were rivers that ran right along that same connection point, maybe. So whatever was there, I'm just curious. I wonder what fish was related to rainbow fish back in time. Like if that branched off into, I don't know, some other thing like tetras in South America or something, I was just wondering do you know at all if there's some lineage behind rainbow fish? Like, are they all kind of the same line evolutionarily?
I think they were put there by aliens. That's probably what I think.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, when in doubt, aliens, ancient aliens, definitely.
No, as I said before, rainbow fish it's something that I don't know a lot about. I know that we've got beautiful rainbows and pseudomogals that we sort of share some of these fish with with Indonesia. So like there's a lot of so sometimes you'll find the fish up there, you'll find them here, or you'll find very closely related fish in Indonesia and then North Australia. So
yeah, PNG and Aru Islands and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. So I would say it's probably more of like an Asian sort of background, but I don't know. I do want to learn more about them. I think I'm going to get a couple. I think I'm going to get some dwarf neons. Will be the first ones. I've always wanted Bosmanis as well, or Bosemani is meant to be the right way apparently, but Bosmani sounds way better.
Yeah,
but I do want to get them. The one I'm really, really lucky actually, because I think if I could teleport you here for like 1 hour and take you to the store near me, they have so many different types of rainbows. And they've got all of their Latin names. Latin names scare me because I'm like, I have no idea what that is. Just tell me that I'm a simpleton. Tell me the simple way of saying it. Because I can't remember it. I can't walk away going, oh yeah, that's a whatever.
Right. It helps when you start learning Latin. And I know that's like a whole other thing. But I mean, like, as I've learned about different fish, you'll see like rubra over and over and over, or, minima or things like that. And you're like, oh, maybe that has the same root as minimum. So maybe that means small, like, you know, minutia, minimum, mina, you know. And you start to kind of like figure out that a lot of English words that are Romance words have some Latin roots that kind of overlap, you know, red or, you know, rubra or whatever it may be.
So it
So
makes more sense rather than just a foreign
yeah,
word.
yeah, like splendens or pulcher, like pulcher's like colorful, splendens is like beautiful, roughly. But then you also find that like, oh, well, there's like 40 different plants that have, you know, something splendens. You know, there's like the crebensis pulcher, there's the nanochromis pulcher, there's, you know, the I don't know. There's just like a million different things that end in that because it's an easy way to like, oh, well, this fish is the beautiful version of this other ugly fish we found last year, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the praecox that you're talking about, the dwarf neon rainbows, those ones are nice. They're fun. They're easy to breed. I had too many when I started breeding them. Like they would breed every morning,
I
and
feel like
yeah, they'll eat their babies, but they started in my tank for some reason just like having more babies. I had them in like a 20 long, and I just had enough moss floating and pearlweed and stuff that they just kept having babies in it and surviving. And pretty soon I had like, I don't know, 30 adults or something, and I sold them. And then they stopped breeding for me completely, and I was like, dang it, I guess I sold the ones that were into each other.
yeah, I think I'm going to put them in the big planted tank with a school of rummy nose, and I reckon they'll sort of complement each other a bit pretty well.
Yeah.
Then I think. But if I get any breeding behavior, I'll probably pull them out and try and see if I can get some babies. I'm not a big fish breeder. I don't ever aim for it. But when it happens, I think it's really cool. And yeah, but I suppose when it happens, I'll try and do the right thing by keeping them. I've got like a tank here with crebensis, and it's taken me like a year and a half to get this balance where I've just got like 10 in there. I always had 2, and then they just breed and fight.
Yeah.
Now I've got 10. They're kind of, I don't know. They can coexist properly. They've all paired off. They've all got their own spots. But then no one's. I think the thing is then the dominant one might pick on them, but he's picking on 9 of them, not 1, and then you have all these issues. So that's been good. Frugal, I'll check that out. So they're in the Yarra in the quiet shallows. Their eyes glow red at night, and then you catch them with a fine net.
Wow.
Check.
Yeah, nice.
I was going to say something else. I can't remember. Oh, yeah, Pete Belinsky. How you doing? He said that they're jumpers. Have you found that in the past? The dwarf neons?
All rainbow fish I've ever owned have been jumpers.
Okay.
Anything with blue eyes or rainbow in the name, man. If you startle them, like I had some, what was it? Oh, thread fins were really bad. Like the thread fins would just like zoom off, and if they didn't jump, they'd hit the glass going like full speed and just like bash their nose in. Same with half beaks. I've had those just break their nose right off, or their jaw, I should say, their bill, whatever, their beak.
Lucky the tank here that I've put them in has a big wooden lid on, so they won't. They might try and get out there. It'll be interesting. But
it's impressive though. Like I have I still need to move them over here, but I've got some of the what are they? The luminescent Pseudomagils, Pseudomogal luminescent, and they'll jump. I've seen them jump while I'm working on a tank. Like I put my hand in one end to work like in a 20 long that there's like 5 in right now, and I'll put my hand in to like grab a rock or the filter or something. And on the far other end, I mean, I've had them jump onto the ground a good 6 feet from the tank is where they land. So like, I mean, they can get some crazy air. Yeah.
That's insane.
That, I mean, and then the other infamous tank escape artist is definitely the ammonia shrimp. Those things sneak out like crazy. We had one crawl out and it got on the arm of the couch, and my wife was sitting there, and they definitely kind of look like cockroaches now that she mentions it. So.
We went yabbying a couple of weeks ago.
For some like crayfish.
Yeah. So I did a catch and cook video, and it had a bit of a family fun sort of video. And yeah, we cooked them up, and I pickled them. I've got a whole bunch pickled in a jar, and we kept a couple and brought them home for Harry in his fish tank because it was empty. There's no fish in there, and we ended up finding 3 yabbies walking around the house a few times. What have we got? Cassie B, I think you had a funny story one time about a fish jumping out at night and it woke you up.
Me? Oh, probably. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember it offhand, but I've had so many fish jump out that probably happened a while ago. I mean, I've been sitting there before and just heard them jump out and like heard them flop around on the floor. And I'm like upstairs in my old place, it was hardwood. So I'd be like, oh man, not again. Like, what are they doing? That was my Coachus tetras. Those things would always jump out of the tank.
I had a killifish here that I think has jumped out of the tank. I've got this big rock background on this tank, right? And
okay.
There's a little gap, and there is probably, I don't know, I can't even imagine how many Endler guppies have got behind there. There's about 6 rummy nose behind there. I'm now missing my killifish. So I think there's killifish behind there. There's a white cloud behind there. I'm like, how am I going to get these guys out? I'm going to have to pull the tank apart.
Yeah, I've had that happen in the other place I've had that happen is in like a sump where like you get stuff stuck in there and it grows up. Like I had or even just like a hang off the back filter, if you customize it and you put filter floss in it and there's kind of like a void at the bottom. I've had everything from little shrimp grow up in there to like adult sized shrimp, like, but they had to be teeny to get in there. But yeah, and then obviously snails, they always do that. But I saw a question just a minute ago that was somebody asked, where did it go? It was about snails. They said that basically their snails were being born without color, and that means that you don't have enough KH in your tank, most likely. That, or you don't have, or they're missing something. Oh yeah, what could cause pink ram's horn snails to lose their color and be born and grow up almost translucent? So if it's their shells, then that's definitely calcium, a lack of calcium, or it could be a lack of something that they metabolize calcium with, like manganese, magnesium, something in their diet that like coincides nutritionally. But it's probably just straight up, you could add like to every 10 gallons a cup of crushed coral, or you could get a cuttle bone for pet birds and break up some of that and toss it in, or even crush some eggshells and put that in a hang off the back filter. There's lots of ways to get carbon into your tank.
Yeah.
But
that's what I do with the shrimp tank, the crystal shrimp. I just did like a little landscape with rocks and wood, and then I scattered crushed coral sand around the bottom of it to make it sort of look more natural, but to put some calcium and stuff in the water. Yeah,
I mean, it works pretty well. Some people just add seashells even. There's a lot of different methods, but over time I find that works pretty well. I don't like any of there are some solutions you can find online that are like liquid that you add to each water change, and that's just like something you have to worry about calibrating your tank to every time when adding in, and it fluctuates. Like, just get something that's slow release, that's part of the substrate or part of the decor or whatever, or part of your filter media, and then that way you don't have to worry about like, oh, what's it doing right now kind of thing. So
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah, I was
didn't
just
realize.
gonna say I should probably let you go.
Yeah,
but
my wedding
thank you so
anniversary,
much.
so we're going out for lunch.
Oh, well, have a wonderful time doing human things that I can't do in my state still.
We'll do it until the next lockdown, and so we have to do it now.
Yeah, it's like quick, go out. Okay, well, don't become a super spreader. And
oh wow.
no, and I'll look forward to checking out. I need to see. I missed a couple of your last episodes, so I need to go back and watch those. But thank you so much for coming on the show, guys. Check out Aquamate, living down under. Have a good day, and it's always fun talking with you. Maybe next time we can look at that microscope video that you'd mentioned, and then the other thing is we should come up with a list of like what we can't have from your country and what you can't have from my country, and say what we trade one another. Like I'll give you neon tetras for your this or that,
Done.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, you have a good one. Thanks for coming on, and thanks for watching, everyone. We're gonna wrap this up, and I guess I'll be streaming tomorrow again. I was gone for weeks, and then I'll be 3 in a row. But that's how it rolls sometimes. So I'll see everybody tomorrow at same time, same place, basically, right after Father Fish goes on. So, all right, guys, take it easy. Take it easy, Josh. And check out his interviews. Check out his videos. His detritus worm video. Check it out. And thanks, super chatters. Thanks, mods and lurkers and commenters alike. Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks, guys.